everybody, it's Derek, aka Mr. Shredder with Masters of Shred, your number one source for all your daily Shredtacular content. And we have a very special guest, a very familiar face with us again today, about to talk about his huge upcoming album. But before we go into that, I want to give a quick shred out to our awesome official sponsors, my fellow brothers of Shred, the innovators of Shred, Sola Custom Guitars out of now North Carolina. They made my crazy Gothenburg, Batman, Vandenberg, and my Twilight Zone Kramer back here. And also to our other sponsor, which is Retro Rockware, who has pretty much housed the Shred Den here. We got pretty much everything you could think of, from the shirts to the posters in the back. Check them out at Retro Rockware. Now that that's out of the way, thank you guys for being sponsors. Let's give it up for the Shred creature from the Black Lagoon, the mighty John 5.
How are you? How are you? Good to see you.
Good, dude. Good to see you, man. Last time we were together was Chicago 2019, Reggie's Rock Bar. You and Jared James Nichols, and I think was CBS there filming.
I think so. There was I remember that show. It was I think it was pretty cold out, and it's always cold when I'm playing because I play with Zombie in the summertime. So I got to warm up those fingers out there in the wintertime. Woo! And Reggie's is pretty cold, I'll tell you.
Dude, right? It's got a great stage though, with like the war fence on the side, and it's got a great setup inside, you know. And it seems like the floor goes up in the back, so everyone kind of has a good view. There's no seat, but it just works.
Yeah, it's really cool, really cool. I really love that place. So a lot of fun. Yeah, and it was great seeing you. And I mean, it was such a fun, normal time. That place was like jam-packed to the gills, and no one was worrying about anything that was about to come, you know?
So getting into it, we got something really big to talk about here, which is a huge album for you. It's your 13th album that will be dropping in probably less than 72 hours. It's called Sinner, and you chose not to release it on August the 13th, which would be Friday the 13th. I thought about that.
That's right. Yes. It's coming out October 29th, and it's, I'm really happy. I'm super proud of it, because how I went about this record, of course, when everybody was like locked down, and I'm in LA, so it was really, really strict here. So all I did was, I would write and I would practice and I would play. And I was listening. I told this story a couple times, but it's very interesting to musicians and people that love this show and love the site as well, your Instagram. So I was listening to it's this radio station called 40s Junction, and it's all 40s music. I just liked how it sounds, and I was thinking to myself, wow, all these songs on this radio station are all live. So when people were recording this, they were all in one room, and they were all playing and singing and doing the instruments. It was just a live performance. And I thought, that's how I want to do the record, And so I would sit there and practice and practice and practice, because I didn't really have anything else to do. But I would practice the songs I was going to go lay down in the studio, because I didn't want to do a lot of punch-ins or anything. I just wanted it to be a complete performance. So with all the time I had on my hands, I would just practice and practice. And so I went into the studio, and if I messed up, I just started from the beginning. And so because I wanted to have full, complete takes and no punch-ins. And it really was a great way to record and play these songs, because we play a few of them live right now, even before the record's out, but they sound just like the record, because, when we recorded it, it was, a live performance. So it was a cool way to do it.
No kidding. So would you say that obviously this is a different way for you? I mean, you were inspired by what you heard on the radio there, having the whole band together, one shot, going for it. Has the pandemic at all changed your outlook or approach to composing and writing albums now?
In that way, it has, like, just, because we're used to going in the studio and doing this and then going, oh, well, let's add this or let's overdub this. But pretty much everything was worked out, and I just played it, from start to finish. And it was a lot of fun. We actually filmed it too. So we filmed a lot of those performances, and it's cool to see, and just wanted to document it.
Are you planning on releasing any of those?
Yeah. Because everything is visual now, thanks to your Instagram and everything, which by the way, I think is so smart. It's just the best way to use the internet. Like what you do is incredible because it inspires everyone, that goes on there, and they'll look at it and say, "Oh, that's really cool." And I think how you use the internet is the best way to use, the internet. And I think it's but yeah, so what I am going to release it because everything is visual nowadays, so you watch music, and so yeah, I'm going to release as much stuff as I can, just to hopefully inspire some guitar players on the way.
I think it's safe to say you've done quite a good job of doing that. I'll tell you that. And it's funny when you mentioned about Instagram and the visual aspect, because I just read that recently Facebook's approach, because they bought Instagram, is now to make everything a lot more video based, less photos, which was what started Instagram was photos. They said people want to engage more with videos. And I just read that last week and I go, well, that's kind of sad because I like posting old ads that you've probably seen from these old guitar magazines. They don't get the traction that videos get. And it's like, it's sad and it's weird because back then those ads were artwork. People put a lot, these companies, the marketing budget they must have had for ads back then, they really put their time and effort into it. And it's kind of like a lost art. You don't see that anymore. Everybody wants the videos,
Everybody wants the videos. Yeah, I remember doing photo shoots, and it was like there was like a big budget for photo shoots. I was like, wow, this is really crazy. It's really cool. But with what you do with posting the ads and all that stuff, it is great because it's just us as little kids looking at these ads, dreaming and hoping one day. I remember Steve Stevens. There was a thing in Guitar World magazine where it was a Christmas issue. And he had this Christmas tree, and then there was a red Marshall stack. And I was like, wow, I want a Marshall stack one day, and it was just red and it was so cool. I'll never forget it. So there's like the magic times with those photos that are just burned in your brain.
Right. And it's crazy because it's a shame because, it's funny when I go to Chicago, these old guitar stores, they would literally put these old ones out there, these old magazines for like guitar for the practicing musician for like $2. And I go, this is incredible. I love it. Steve Vai's on the front cover. It's just a time capsule, dude, into such a thriving time. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is a huge shred surgence, I call it, right? But back then, there was like this camaraderie and just competition, but friendly competition. Everyone's trying to just get whatever tools they had to be the best they could be, right? And it was a weird scene, man. You notice it when you watch it and you read through the magazines. You're like, different times, very different,
And they were wonderful times. Guitar for the Practicing Musician. What a great magazine that was. It was wonderful. I can visualize all those covers right now. I loved it. I was in, high school or junior high with all those magazines, and I just loved it. And it's wonderful. Really.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of those. I think Guitar School was another one. There's a whole, and then right, Guitar School, and then we had Guitar One was my generation, right? And that kind of went to the wayside about 10 years back, I think. But it's crazy how that all goes. But kind of getting back to it, it's a good thing you brought this up about the videos because you already gave us a video for this album. You gave us a video, not just any video, a video featuring the thrash metal legend Dave Mustaine on vocals for the track Que Pasa. Okay, straight up. You know why I love posting your stuff, John? Because you make it easy for me. You have every piece is just so perfect. I can pick 5 different segments and post it. Sometimes I'm not that fortunate. It takes me a while. That track, that video, pure fire. You just tear it up from beginning to end in a tasteful manner. Love it.
Thank you. I always write songs, and I love like little vocal hooks, because kind of like Fatboy Slim or something like that. I just love those cool, like even, Me So Horny, it's like so repetitive and so cool, but you could just have a little vocal hook in there and then just go crazy. And we had James Brown with the like a James Brown sample in there. And the record company said, well, you can't have that sample in there. We get sued, blah, blah, blah. And they said, who would you want to have? And I said, oh my God, Mustaine would be perfect because he's got that, that just that voice and that growl. And I use my 6 degrees of separation. And, because I know Dave enough to say hello and when we're on tour and things like that, but I didn't have his number, but I knew his assistant. And he said, well, I'll play it for Dave and see if he wants to do it. And he was into it. He got back, right away, and we, knocked it out. And he was incredible. I mean, it's just, when I hear that song, I really enjoy it. And I'm super happy with how it turned out and the video and everything. So I'm so thankful and lucky and honored to have him on that track.
It's a great track. And that's not the only star cameo performance you have. You got a couple. One right off the bat, Peter Criss of Kiss, Georgia on My Mind, playing drums. I know you're a certified member of the Kiss Army. You run one of the best memorabilia pages, Knights in Satan's Service, correct? Right on Instagram. I see the stuff you have. I mean, it's incredible. What kind of a feeling is that? Because you had posters, this guy on your wall. Now he's recording on your album.
Yeah, it's cool. I've known Peter for 20 something years, like for a long time. I've known all the guys for a really long time. And, me and Peter will talk on the phone just for hours and hours and just talk about whatever, life and him growing up and me growing up. And he said, he would always talk about Gene Krupa and he would talk about Buddy Rich and all these great drummers that he just loved. And he just loves this kind of drumming, the style. And to finish the record, my record Sinner, I just have Georgia on My Mind. It was just going to be a solo guitar because there's so much craziness going on in the record. And I thought, well, we should, see if Peter just wants to play a cool jazzy beat with this. And he was into it. And it's funny, my guy flew to where he lives and they put a couple mics to mic the drums, but they mic'd it like the old days. It wasn't like on every drum and all this stuff. It was just a couple mics. And the mics were live. They were, when Peter and Barry Pointer is my producer, and they were just talking, and Peter was saying really cool things about Georgia on My Mind and myself and all that stuff. And we captured that. So that's how the song starts, is Peter talking about the song and talking about, because he's talking to Barry. And then it starts, and I asked Peter if we could use that. And he said, sure, because he didn't even know he was being recorded, And then he played, and 2 takes, it was done. He just was, because that's all he did when he was a kid, just played that way. And it was really great. And to have Peter on there is, it's a crazy life. It's a dream, and I don't take it for granted. I'm so lucky with everything that has happened. And I'm always worried that I'm going to wake up in the morning and go, man, I had the craziest dream. I had a dream that, people knew my name, and, I was friends with all these rock stars, and I was putting out these records, and I would go on tour, and it was a crazy dream. I'm worried that I'm going to wake up one day. That's how appreciative and happy I am with everything that's been going on.
That's great, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. And, being such a huge fan, I have to ask you, maybe we can do you a favor here and use this platform, this interview for something else. You're a huge Kiss collector.
Yeah.
Is there any piece that you have been on the hunt for, you've not been able to find, that maybe we can put out there now and see if we can locate it and make it happen?
It's funny you say that, because I have this, and it's a great hobby because I play so much guitar, and it's it's crazy, but everything, all hobbies are from when we're kids. And of course I have a collective soul. I have tons of guitars, and so I would collect Kiss stuff. And it is so therapeutic, and anybody watching this, it's great to have a hobby. It's really, really good for your mental health and everything. But to answer your question, yes, there is. And when I say what this is, you're going to be like, well, that's ridiculous. There's two things. There's a yellow, it's really ugly. There's a yellow visor, like a sun visor from 1980 from Australia. And it is, I know they're out there, and I know a couple people with them, but there's a super two rare ones. There's a black one and a red one, which I have, but I don't have this yellow one. And it's, it sounds like some cheap piece of nothing, but they're so expensive. They're a fortune. And then there's an Ace Frehley popsicle box from Australia, 1980 as well. And again, it sounds like just ridiculous things, but they're a fortune. So those are the two things that are my, holy grails.
So we got an Ace Frehley popsicle box. Now these are all from Australia, let the viewers know, right? And a 85 Kiss
80.
sun visor. What was that?
1980.
1980. Okay, yellow.
Yes.
You already have the black and red ones. The yellow one.
Yes.
All stemming from Australia, both of them, right?
Yes.
Australian merch. We're putting it out there. Let's see who comes up with it first.
That's right.
Make it happen. That's very cool, dude. That's it's funny what you say that about collecting, because it is true. I love guitars too, but I have this weird side where I like to buy these collector figures of shows I grew up on as a kid, and it's crazy. I know people that go, "Why do you collect these? These are like toys. What's wrong with you?" And I'm going, listen, when you grew up, did you see a toy, okay, that was as detailed as that? Yeah. All right. You know where we're going with this, right? I mean, come on. It's still cool. It's shit like that, I love all the NECA.
It makes you happy. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right? There it is. Big kid at heart. That's what it is, man. But someone else, too, is on this album that we all know from the Butcher Babies. Good friend of yours, Carla Harvey, does a track, too. And I think I saw her backstage with you guys in Chicago.
Yes. Carla and Charlie from Anthrax. I was like, I need this just one word, just this one hook in there. And I need it to be like this, in this style, in this vein. And it sounds like a very simple thing, but we went through a few people, and she got it, and it sounds great. The song's called Euphoria. And yes, she nailed it. So we have Mustaine, Carla, Peter, Chris, and I'm just so happy and proud of this record, because I make these records just because I love playing guitar, but people get so into them, and that's what makes me feel so great, is because it's so from the heart. It's not like for the money or anything like that. It's just from the heart, and just really doing something you love. And when I'm doing these shows, and I'll see like these young kids just like playing air guitar, and it just means so much to me. There's such a diverse crowd of like old bluegrass pickers and shredders and zombie fans and little kids and, believe it or not, girls, come to the show. So it's wonderful, because you've taken something that you just love doing, and then people are into it, and it's so wonderful. It's just really, I'm so thankful for the people that get the record and come to the shows, because it's probably the most honest thing out there, because it's just I'll do it. I'll make a zillion records just because I love doing it so much.
But dude, another thing you got to keep in mind too is that your shows, I've been telling people this ever since the first show I attended of yours, the biggest bang for your buck ever. It's priced at basically of concerts 25 years ago we priced. It's a great deal, and you're getting a stage show that I have never seen anyone else. The closest I've ever seen in that same kind of realm of just entertainment in your face, amazing visuals, was Buckethead. And I'll never forget those. Your shows are off the charts. I mean, you are getting so much interaction. I don't think people realize if you've never attended a John 5 concert, when it comes to your town, you got to get to Orlando one of these days too, by the way, because I know you're up in the Panhandle every time. I'm like, just come a little bit closer. And I think you're coming actually to Panhandle soon, but that's besides the point. You got to see John 5 if you haven't seen him live. If you have seen him, you know what we're talking about. Incredible.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And I think it's so important to keep the ticket price low. I love to keep the ticket price low because you know what? It just makes me upset, like all these shows that are so expensive, you know. And I know, listen, it costs a lot of money to put on these shows, and that's why the ticket price is high. But I just love to put on a show, a really good show, the best show I can put on, and I want to keep the ticket price low so people can come and enjoy and not be like, oh, I got to pay for parking. I want to get, you know, a drink and blah, 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 blah. I just never want it to be that. I just want it to be like, you know, something like how it was in 1978 or something like that. You know, I want that ticket price to be low. And that's important to me because I know, you know, it's tough out there and you got to get a babysitter and all that stuff. So it's important to me to keep that ticket price low.
You do a great job of it. And again, for everything people get, the stage show. I mean, I don't know how you keep it at $20 or $25. I don't know how that works. It's incredible. But last question I want to ask you about this album is, as a guitar player, you are a total, you know, shred virtuoso. Is there a track on this album that you had a hard time relaying from your mind to the fretboard to get right, whether it be the perfect timing, but you're like, oh, damn, I know how I want the sound. Let's get this thing knocked out. Usually there's that one track that kind of gives you a little bit more of a challenge than other ones. What would it be if there is one?
There's a couple. There's one called, let's see. Let me think really quickly of, okay, so there's one called How High the Moon. It's a cover, Les Paul, Mary Ford. And it's that 50 style type of playing. And it's no distortion, just clean. But those songs back then were cooking. You know, they were just like, there's no, like if you like have your pick turned or if you're like, if you're off just a little bit, it's a train wreck. And that was one that was just like, you know, it was pretty difficult because with that clean sound, there's no room for any mistake whatsoever. So that was definitely one. And then I switched to a mandolin and play the rest of the song out on a mandolin. So that is difficult because a mandolin is obviously tuned different from a guitar. And you're like, okay, oh, wait a minute, this is completely backwards now. So you got to like think of it that way too. So when you're recording that, things like that, it's difficult, but it's a lot of fun. That's what makes it fun. And then there's also another song called Land of the Misfit Toys where, you know, like there's like the tapping thing. And, you know, a lot of guitar players, me included, they have like something to mute the strings. So when you're doing that kind of tapping technique, you have that great mute. But I wanted to again record this completely live, so I just had to learn that a technique where none of those strings would ring out at all. So I would have to, you know, this finger would have to be flat against the string, so there was no, you know, any other strings ringing out or anything. So it was kind of like my own kind of hair tie, if you will, because I wanted to do everything live and make it sound like that, you know. So that was a challenge too, but I had nothing but time on my hands.
You have no idea how many guitar players you're going to make their day and their week. They're going to be so happy by hearing you say that, because the amount of hate that comes from using a fret muter, it's crazy. When I post a video and someone's got a fret muter on there, oh, dude, Jason Becker never used one. I'm like, and you can hear that he didn't, because you'll hear the notes sort of ring on a lot of those sweeps, which are great. But it's I say to each their own. I see the use of a fret wrap, it's killer. But the fact that you had to make one basically with your finger and learn that technique, that makes it a lot harder to play what you're playing, dude.
It is, especially when when everything's really loud and high gain, and you just have to really, because you could just be standing in the wrong position and you'll have noise. But I don't, I don't, I'm not saying this because, oh, well, I did it this way because you shouldn't use one. If you want to use, a string mute or anything like that, it's fine. It's just, I just wanted to try that technique and not be able to slide it down or anything. So anybody that uses the mute it's fine. It's just what I tried to do live. And I think that a lot of guitar players today, I think we have to support each other more today because, I want to make guitar music and guitar players more and more and more. I want people to, play guitar and make the guitar more popular like it was back in the day, like the guitar for the practicing musician days and things like that. But I think, we as guitar players just all need to support each other as much as we can and keep this music going. Like, I love everybody on your Instagram. And I'm such a supporter of guitar players. I think it's so imperative just to go, that guy's awesome and that guy's awesome, and you guys should listen to this guy and you guys should listen to that guy, because we just need to like have this thing more, more and more popular.
It's true, and I totally second that, because some of the comments I read, they throw me for a loop. Sometimes I go, why say that at all? I mean, yeah, I don't get it, man. I just say, it goes back to the old school stuff. Nothing nice to say, just don't say it. And it's not going to get you anywhere by just tearing someone down when you don't really have to. And listen, if you're on Masters of Shred, there's no room for anybody to be torn down, because I am really strict with what I put on. You got to pass my curriculum and then you're in. But hating, I agree with you, man. It's just, we got to be definitely more supportive, and that's putting it mildly.
And I love, like, people talk about like, oh, like Buckethead or something like that, and they compare me and Buckethead, and I love that. I think it's such a wonderful thing when I read that. I take that as a compliment, and I love Guthrie, and I love Andy James, and I love, everybody, all these guitar players, and they're inspiring. I think it's wonderful, so I look at it as a different way. I love Tosin. I love all these great guitar players, and I just look at it as such a positive thing, and not a hating or anything like that. So when they say some stuff about Buckethead and me, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome, because I think it's wonderful.
Right, dude. I know. Two great guitar players give you a killer show with super unique, distinguishable playing. I love it, dude. My top players. So I think it's great. Keep doing it. So October 29th is the date. You got awesome merch packages that are already available on your website, right? So you can get like signed CDs I saw, and shirts and stuff like that. Now, it seems like we now have the ultimate Halloween soundtrack. Sinner, right?
Yeah.
Well, what is John Five's top must-watch Halloween movie playlist? 5 movies. What do you got?
Okay. First of all, what a great question, because in this household, starting October 1st, it's Halloween until October 31st. After October 31st, it's done. Then, and the same thing with Christmas. After the 25th, it's done. I want to take the tree down. It's done. I don't want to hear another Christmas Carol until, December 1st. But October 1st, we start, there's a movie every night, okay? Every night there's a movie. Now, I started, and I invite friends over. I invite like, my good friends like Nikki Six and my friend Mark and my friend Jeff and all these people. And I'll say, okay, you guys can pick what movie you want to come to. And we have like, this thing. I'm turning my phone on because I literally made a list so far. And I'm not only going to give you the top 5, but I'm going to give you what I have so far for
The
movies.
top recommendations.
Okay.
John 5 himself. All right.
So we have Carrie, Amityville Horror, The Exorcist, The Omen, E.T., which is a good Halloween movie, Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween, The Conjuring, The Shining, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Shadow of the Vampire, which is a great one. People might not know this. This is where John Malkovich, there's a movie called Nosferatu back in the 20s, a silent film, and John Malkovich plays Nosferatu, and it's just an incredible, incredible movie. The Others with Nicole Kidman. So that's what I have so far. So if anybody has some suggestions on Masters of Shred for movie night, I
pretty much nailed them all there. I mean, that's a pretty good list. You know, it's funny. I was watching a movie that I guess you couldn't really say it's super hard, but it's very witty. Do you remember 1992 Stay Tuned with John Ritter?
Of course. Yeah.
I was watching that again because I actually saw it as when I was really young as a kid, right? I don't remember. I was probably still in diapers. My parents were showing me horror films, but I remember seeing that and I'm like, I watched it again. So witty when he's turning through the channel and you see like 3 men in Rosemary's Baby. Every show is related to hell. It's just like, it was so good, you know?
Great one. That's a good one. Maybe I'll put that on a list.
We have to add that, but that's a great list though. So we got the perfect soundtrack to the perfect Halloween movie list.
Yeah.
What we can ask for. You're ready to go on that.
Yeah.
Speaking of monsters, we have to talk about this. We know you're a monster lover. You respect the art of horror, and you love the Munsters.
Yes.
And your singer, Rob Zombie, is making the Munsters, and he built the entire town inside Budapest already. Can we look out for, or should we look out for, a possible John 5 cameo in that movie?
You know, because I love Creature from the Black Lagoon, and there's a character in the Munsters named Uncle Gilbert, and he's their uncle, and he's the creature from the Black Lagoon, and he has a hat on and everything like that. But I don't think so. I wish to be honest, I did a cameo in Lords of Salem. This is a true story. And listen, I know what my strengths are, and I definitely know what my weaknesses are. That's why I've never tried to sing. I've never tried to, I know what I do is what I do. So we were doing Lords of Salem. Rob was doing it, and he goes, "Oh, let's have you as one of the surgeon guys." And I was like, okay, I can do this. So they put me in this like surgeon thing, and I'm like doing a surgery on someone, but I'm like a monster guy. And they put this mask on me. And you know how there's masks and they have like, holes so you can breathe, obviously. This thing had like 0 holes, okay? And I'm like, it had little nose holes, but they were very small. Nothing for the mouth. So you would have to, and you're like, oh my God, this is like really difficult. So I had a panic attack. So they're filming, and I'm like doing the surgery, and I'm like, and they had to like take this thing off me. I was like, so I think that's the last of my acting debut with Rob.
And we can see you in the movie, but all we would see is your neck, right? Was that exposed? I mean, we only know it was you by the neck, or
no? It was like way down, like this mask, and you'll see me in this. And they used it, but it was terrible. I'm no actor, that's for sure.
So no Munsters then. We can't look out for the Munsters cameo.
No.
That is a great story though. Wow. That's gotta be intense. And I'm sure it's hot too, because the stage lights, the production lights are all there. You're in this in-depth, really tight mask and probably outfit too. I could only imagine. I think I would have had a panic attack too, dude. That's intense.
Because you just couldn't breathe at all, and it's like acting is like, that's why I love movies, it's something like that I could never do, looking at these people, and when someone's a bad actor, you're like, I don't, but when you're watching something, you're really believing something, that's like, it's such an art. So I have such an appreciation for, things that I could never do, like acting or singing. For some reason, I love singers, because I have the worst voice. I mean, I can stay on pitch, but the tone of my voice is just absolutely god awful. But that's why I have such an appreciation for singers too.
There's too. Well, you know what's funny about the outfits you bring up in these movies? They got that documentary Val on Val Kilmer, right? And it's really good. But he talks about when he was in Batman, when he played Batman, he said he hated it because literally he couldn't move in the suit. People had to hold him up for his scenes. So all you saw, he said, you wouldn't know it was me. I barely ever was myself in the movie, and all I had was just my mouth to know it was me, and I had to express everything through this little hole here. I'm like, makes sense, dude, right? Yeah. Crazy. Something did happen since we last spoke that we have never discussed, actually, which is the unfortunate passing of arguably one of the greatest guitar players ever on October the 6th. And we're approaching that 1-year anniversary of the passing of the mighty Edward Van Halen. That hit, I did not see that coming. Well, I had heard, but when it happened, I was stunned when I saw the post. Horrible. But now a year has passed by now to fully digest his passing. Has your outlook on what he's contributed changed at all when you really took a step back and looked at it all as a whole? Because sometimes we get so caught off track with life, we kind of forget everything else that was there before, How's that changed at all, if it's changed?
Well, of course, me, just like millions of others, he was my favorite, and it's strange. I'm like so upset too, because it's like, God, couldn't we do anything to save him? Like, Eddie was so special. It's really rare to have someone so special. Now, everybody listening to this and watching this can totally agree with me. I mean, the best guitar player, such an amazing inventor, such an amazing songwriter, and he had everything, and he was something special. He was touched by God, and we don't have many Edward Van Halens, not just in music, but in any kind of anything, in sports, or he's like the Michael Jordan, or in art, he's like the Picasso, and we don't have many of these. And I'm just happy we got what we got. I just wish there was anything like all the great minds in the world. Listen, Eddie Van Halen is sick. Can't we do anything to save him? This is he's like everything, and it just breaks my heart. But I am so thankful for what we did get, and the music and the guitars and the amps, everything. He was a real genius, and I was happy to and lucky enough to know him, and he was just a kind soul. And it was so devastating. It really messed me up, just like everyone else. And it's hard to listen to him, but you listen to him and go, man, he was just something very, very special. Just like, he was the Mozart of our time. And it's just awful. It's just a terrible, terrible thing.
I agree with you. When it first happened, it didn't really hit me yet. It set in about a week later, and then from that point on, I lost a lot of even like desire doing Masters of Shred anymore. I said, my inspiration is kind of not there anymore. I don't, because I sat back and I'm like, oh my gosh, this was my total childhood too. I would buy all the cassettes at Walmart in their cassette bin at the time of Van Halen on my cassette player, going to this high school or middle school, all that crap. And I'm like, this can't be. How could that guy? Because he's larger than life. He's the epitome of larger than life. So when he's gone, you're like, no, that can't happen. Not to Eddie, right? There's no way.
Yeah,
So
he was like our superhero. It's like, well, he can't die. You know, it's impossible. It's just he's always been just like you. He's always been in my head, in my ears, listening to his music, looking at his picture. He's always been there. You know, he's just always been around, and it's so weird to not have him around. You know, it's very strange and just a terrible, terrible loss.
well, I know you're friends with Michael Anthony. You guys have played together with Corey Taylor on stage. Awesome stuff there. Have you heard wind at all about like a memorial show? I know there's been talk about it here and there, but now we're a year out. Shows are back, and hey, let's be real. The memorials we've been getting on mainstream media's award shows were less than appetizing. Frankly. So we're all expecting some big thing to take place. Have you caught wind? 'Cause I'm sure you would probably play there for that, right?
If there is a show, which there needs to be, there has to be, you know, if I'm not on stage, I'll be front row. And I think it's something that definitely needs to happen. And with everybody, I think everybody should be there. I think Dave should be there. Sammy should be there. Mikey should be there. Wolfie, of course, you know, Alex, everybody that was a part of this Van Halen history, and all the fans all over the world, you know, and just give praise and appreciation and love to the master, Edward. You know, it just needs to happen because it's, I think it would be a wonderful thing. And I think when things get more back to normal, because here in LA, pretty, it's still very strict. You got to wear a mask everywhere. But me traveling all over the country, you know, you wouldn't even think coronavirus exists. You know, everyone's like walking around. It's like, whoa, dude, nobody wears a mask here, you know, but here in LA, it's pretty strict. And, but once everything gets back to normal, I hope and pray that there is a tribute show for Eddie.
Yeah, that would be incredible. And if they need a host, I mean, I'm easy to get a hold of. Maybe I can introduce one person. I can introduce you. I'll introduce John Five as a part of it.
That's right.
I'll have the green light for that.
Done before.
Right. It happened before, dude. That show was so good, by the way. It was so surreal. Joe Bonamassa gets on stage with you. It was like, how did this get together? This is incredible. You know, and everyone was there. Everyone was in the audience. And you guys aren't familiar, I hosted an incredible John Five show, which was the stimulus of what took place in our first interview of Talking Shred. I said, you got a chance to tour with two other guys, your own G3. Who do you pick? And you said Buckethead and Guthrie Govan, right? And Buckethead was not able to, but Guthrie was. He came out with the Aristocrats. Joe Bonamassa showed up. He's tearing it up. And talk about Joe Bonamassa becoming now like a shred legend in his own sense. People have now seen this guy can tear it up far outside of the blues spectrum, which is incredible at. But and I've been always posting his videos showcasing how insane his chops are, because he's so like volatile, not volatile. Yeah, you know what I'm looking for.
Versatile.
Yes, versatile. There it is. Yes. But you know what I mean? But that was a great show. And thank you again for letting me host that. That was
absolutely
memory I'll never forget.
That was fun. There was a lot of people there. I remember there's a picture, because there are so many photographers. There's a picture of Nikki Sixx holding this huge knife to me, and I'm all made up, and I'm like this, and he's talking, and people are taking pictures of this. And what he was saying to me when he was holding this knife to me, he goes, "I think we should become blood brothers." And I was thinking, and there's these pictures, you'll find them on Instagram, and I'm like thinking like this, and I'm like, well, I got to go on stage like right now, so I don't think now's the time. But it was a great night. Aristocrats, myself, Joe Bonamassa, everybody. It was.
Andy James was in the audience too. Andy James was there.
Right. And yeah, that's right. Andy James was there. That was so cool.
Andy James, Nightly Brosh, probably a couple I forgot about. If you were in LA at that time, you were at that show. You know,
it was a wonderful show, and it was. I'd love to do more shows with the Aristocrats. I mean, they're like one of my favorite bands, you know, and like such a great band, such a great band. Really wonderful. I love what they do live and the dynamics and everything. Just absolutely wonderful.
You know, I've been researching getting a Masters of Shred event together, and doing a one-time event that I already have the list of players. You're definitely on that list. It's about 3 or 4, but I've been looking at all the logistics for the last couple of months. I'm like, I could make this happen. I have the funding to do it. It's just this could be something very big. So maybe I need to talk to you about that some other time.
I'm in. I'm in.
All right, awesome. We're gonna have to go to this because people have been dying to ask this stuff. You know, we always do the thing, ask John, get questions. The fans love you, the followers love you, and they got some pretty good questions. So I'm gonna race through those. I know you're a busy guy. Let's get this out here. James Ferosa, fellow solo guitar endorsee, says, "What guitar would be John's main guitar if it wasn't his Fender?" Before you answer this, we're not telling you to go against Fender on this. Fender is your brand, right? But if it was no Fender, where would you lean towards if it was not a Telecaster didn't exist?
You know, I would say for some reason, when I was growing up, my next door neighbor, Eric Warzak, it was a Gibson, it was a junior. It was like the TV yellow double cutaway junior, and it just played amazing. I love the pick guard, and I love the feel of the guitar. So I would say something like that. And it was just because when I was growing up, and they're amazing guitars. And when I was growing up, I was playing it, and everything happens when you're growing up because your brain is like a sponge. So I would probably play something like that. And then my first guitar was a Stratocaster, though. So, maybe a Strat, something like that. But I loved Ibanez, so I had a bunch of Ibanez, and I don't know. I've been playing this one for so long. But, oh, you know what else is really good is those, hold on. And you can edit, right? Hold on. Let me show you. Hold on.
Sure.
Is this fella.
Ooh, oh my gosh, the Kiesel.
It's great.
Dude, nice. Is that okay? Okay, yeah, that is a 6-string. I don't know if you're going for the 7-string route or not. Look at that.
And it plays great. It's great.
Dude, that is so funny you pull out a Kiesel. I love that paint splatter paint job too. They do one like bubblegum colors. So 90s. I love it. Did they just make that for you, or how the hell did that come about?
They brought me a guitar at the show, and I was like, "Oh, thanks, man. This is awesome." And it really is a great guitar.
Right? Now, do you notice how just like well constructed and solid workhorse like feel they have to them, right?
Oh yeah.
Like the frets and everything right in the box.
Yeah. No, it's really a wonderful, wonderful instrument. Yes.
That is too funny. A buddy of mine just brought over his Headless Osiris in pink. And I still let me play that guitar. I go, oh my gosh. These pickups sound incredible. They're in-house lithium pickups. I'm like, the action's so low, there's no buzz. And the stainless steel frets, it feels so good. I'm like, how much do they want for this? He's like, 16. This is custom made, right? He's like, yeah, how the hell are you gonna beat that? Shit, Yeah. It's so good. That's a good one, man. Wow. Well, okay, I think we got that answered. I wonder, okay, so going to the next question quickly though, is from Slav316 Milos Kokovan. I probably said that wrong. I'm sorry, brother. Forgive me. But when can we expect the Ghost Telly to be released? And will it be a Fender, Squire, or both?
So it will not be a Squire. It's going to be a Fender Telecaster American. The Ghost, it's which you guys have seen pictures, or you can put it up on the screen or something, but it's all white. It's beautiful. It's just, and it plays incredible. That's the thing I love about it. And it sounds so good. I use it during the Creature show, and I use it during the zombie shows and everything, and it sounds just incredible. They did great work on this guitar. So I would say, probably early next year, like maybe spring or summer, something like that, mid next year.
Okay, so it'll be a custom shop Fender version of the Ghost.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a Squire version. It's which would love to have a Squire version, but I know it's going to be a Fender Telecaster. I don't know if it's custom shop, but I know they're going to release quite a few of them, and they're just incredible guitars. And I don't want to put my name anywhere on the guitar because it's such a wonderful guitar. I want people to play it just because it's such a great guitar and it sounds so good. So I'm super excited about that to come out too. And the case, it's rad. The case is all white too, and it's red inside, and it's just beautiful. Just all white guitar case. It's really, really cool.
That's going to be great. Red interior too. Wow. Damn. Yeah. I remember you first broke this, I think, with us like 2 years ago about the Squire model. I said, they're making a Squire. Okay, I'm not going to buy that immediately, but that sounds incredible, dude. Because it's a great looking guitar. It pops so well,
Really beautiful. So I'm super excited about it.
That is going to be great. That is going to be great. And the other question he has from @Rock Guitar School: do you have any Kiss owned guitars? I remember seeing you play Paul Stanley's at the Hard Rock Vault in Orlando. I think that was right. You probably got some Kiss guitars, right?
I have some Kiss broken guitars, like Paul would break some guitars on stage, but I don't have any like guitars that they were played or anything like that. But you know what I just got? This is like a really interesting story. I don't know if you guys will find this interesting, but on the cover of Alive, there's Peter Criss and his drum head, and it says Kiss. And maybe one of the most famous, live albums of all time. So they took that picture at the Michigan Palace in Michigan, obviously. And then they took off that drum head, and then they did a video for Rock and Roll All Night. And they wanted more like of a new looking drum head so it would really pop the logo Kiss. Anyways, to make this story longer, my brother-in-law calls me, who lives in Michigan, and said, hey, there's this guy that has some Kiss stuff, and they're cleaning out this locker, and he's this old guy. And he said, he's got this, and it's this drum head. And this drum head was used from 1974 to like mid 75. And it's been on, hundreds and thousands of pictures and shows. And the guy was like, yeah, I got this bass drum head. And so it was just sitting in storage right after they took the picture for Alive, and they took it off and, just threw it, whatever. And the guys at the Michigan Palace are just cleaning up as they do every night. And they put some stuff in storage to see if anybody's going to come back for it. And, almost 50 years later. So, I got that. It's going to be showing up pretty much any time.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is recent. This is really recent.
Yeah, really recent. And it should be. That's why I'm sitting. If you see, I'm sitting by the driveway so I don't miss the FedEx guy.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be great. Okay, that's really killer. Now I have to share something with you because as a fellow horror fanatic, I think you will appreciate this, right? So you knew about the Kramer Night Swans, obviously. Vivian Campbell played them, right?
Absolutely.
You ever see this one though? I had Sola redo this, right? And I said, I love the Twilight Zone, the old Twilight Zone, the 80s movie.
Twilight Zone.
Right? So well written, man.
So great.
So,
Willoughby.
Tons of pictures. He hand painted this.
Wow. Look at that. That's amazing.
Dude, right?
It's incredible. It's so well done. Wow.
I gave him all the pictures, put his logo on the back, but I gave him all the reference pictures. I said, dude, when he was showing me, I'm like, that's just like, I love it. And if you're a fan as you are, you'll get it,
Beautiful, beautiful.
And then you already saw that.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Absolutely. What amazing craftsmanship.
That's crazy, right? A Vandenberg. So now I got the two guitars that were head to head in '89, right? Because you had both guys were in Whitesnake, both had their signatures.
Oh,
crazy stuff, dude. you know?
Give me a favorite Twilight Zone episode.
Oh, God. Okay. I would say I'm bad with the names. There is one where it was basically the whole episode was filmed in a bucket. And you had a clown, you had a cop, you had a ballerina. And they were
Yep.
all trying to get out of this bucket. Then you find out they're all toys.
Yeah.
At the end of it. Dude.
Incredible. So smart. How smart. How smart. Here's a quick story. Okay, my buddy Fred Corey from Cinderella, the drummer,
Right.
he's my good friend. Now, he lived in and was born and raised in upstate New York. So his father ran a furniture store, and Rod Sterling he lived there, and he would get his furniture from Fred's dad. And Rod Sterling, who created all the Twilight Zones, for people that don't know, he would always use people that he knew in their in the everyday life, and he would put their names in the episode. And there was one episode where there was this robot, and he would go, Corey, 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 and that's from his dad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's funny, like all those little nuances of Rod Sterling. What a genius, though. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Right? You look at writing back then in that time, and you're like, what happened since then? I don't understand why people came up with these ideas like this. I guess, again, you just got these guys that come by that are just touched by God that can do these incredible things like that. Because there's so many good ones, dude, where at the end of it, you're like, oh my gosh, that just happened. It just, everything comes around. You're like, oh, incredible. But I figured you get a kick out of those. But this last question is from J Well Legend 80, Mary Pierce. And this is a question you're probably going to get a lot. You're going on tour, or are you in the spring of next year?
I'll be on the road. Yeah. I don't know what's booked, but I think I might be, this hasn't been announced, but I'll say it, but I'm hoping, but I think I'm going to be going to Mexico in January and doing shows like Mexico, South America, which is so great and so fun. But yeah, if they say I'm going on the road in the spring too, I'll be on the road in the spring. See, that's the thing about me. I just love to play live so much. And I love people. I mean, I really do love people. And people are like, hey, why are you playing this place, or why are you playing that place? And I'll play anywhere that will have me. I just love to have a guitar in my hand and play shows and to see people smile, and it's just a lot of fun. So, I'm going to tour as much as I can. And it's such a great thing for me to do. I just really, really love to go out and play, and I love to meet people and say hi and listen to people. I like to hear people's stories too, because I know all about, my story and blah, 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 but I love to hear people's stories because, everybody's got one, and it's interesting.
No, definitely. And you're coming back down to Florida to Daytona for Rockville, I think in November, right? 3 days, I think.
Yeah.
I think Metallica will be playing that with you guys too, right? I think that goes down, right? That's it. I may have to make that road trip because you are not far from me. I'm going to have to do that. I was even thinking about going to see you and Yngwie in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You guys are playing in Atlanta, right?
Trips, man. Make those trips. Come on now.
I know. I'm going to probably have to. I know. Well, we'll make something happen for the Daytona one for sure. So I got definitely thank you for taking the time of your schedule, dude, to do this. I'm thinking I may put this together and pump it out, honestly, tomorrow so we can get some more buzz around this badass album coming out in less than 72 hours, So we got
it's October 29th.
We are in September still.
Yes.
Good God. Dude, this COVID shit has ruined my life. I don't know track of time anymore.
That's okay.
We're still in September, and it is October.
Yeah.
And so technically in my mind, I thought Halloween was in like 3 or 4 days.
Right.
So really, your movie list hasn't even started yet. No,
Yeah.
no wonder.
So we are, yeah, it comes out October 29th. So yeah.
You know what's funny is when you told me the list of the movies, I'm like, why do you stop? You got like 10 more to go, 15 more to go, dude. It starts yet. Wow. I got some editing to do now. All right, let's make it happen. All right, awesome. So, John, where can everybody follow you at if they don't follow you already?
Yes, I'm very active on Instagram, on my Facebook, John5 Official, and then, you know, my website, john-5.com. And yeah, check it out. Sinner, October 29th.
October 29th, which is not this month. So thanks, John, for being on here. You can follow me at Mr. Shred Official on Instagram, at Masters of Shred. Big shout out to our sponsors at Retro Rockwear for the cool threads. And you got this picture back here. I don't know if you can see it. That is not Nirvana. That is actually the Lone Rangers from Airheads. but it sure looks like it. And big shout out to Sola Custom Guitars at Sola Custom Guitars and Gerd_Dagny, who painted all these damn guitars for me. And I got a third on the way because I'm out of my mind. I need help. Yeah. So awesome. Thank you so much, John. You rock, brother. Keep killing it. And hope to see you soon in Daytona.
Thank you, dude.
Got it. Bye.